I'm going to assume that everyone in this audience know what interest mean. Because when interests collide, it can lead to war. And I'm not just talking about family wars, where in this case it is a family war, but wars that destroy planets. Yeah, I know you heard the story about how we've been around for a few 100,000 or a million years. But once you begin to study life, you see that it never ends and it never begins. No beginning and no ending. Like an atom. Once you can try to destroy an atom, but you end up destroying, say, Hiroshima. Anyway, interest. I came across two articles in Newsweek. One says black voters showed up for America. Here's how America can show up for them. And it's written by three. When we look at them, we say black women. They call themselves black women also. Or at least from what I've read of what they have written, they stand for their people of their hue. Anyway, the second article, both written on Saturday, November 14, 2020. The 2020 election has been terrible for the Jews. Opinion. It's written by a famous woman author. I would advise everyone who reads this article to go look at some of her other work. I don't want to discuss that here, though it is interesting. But interest. And interest can cause wars. And this one is leading up to something devastating. As I read this article, my mind drifted back to a time when the so-called Aborigines of Australia were a strong I don't know how to describe it. Nation. If we look at what nation is today, powerful nations in today, powerful nations are considered today, like China, America, what Great Britain was, well, what Britain was, France was, Rome was. So were the people, the black Australians. And another nation that people don't consider, Tibet. We see China, but not Tibet. And The leaders of China know why they fear Tibetans. Ask Adolf Hitler why he went to Tibet, searching for certain information to make Germany more powerful than it was in World War II. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. But this is about interest. And interest can bring the world to destruction. Sometimes it takes on the form of belief. Sometimes it takes on the form of science versus today we have a scientific society and we are moving further into science-based. But we also have the clash with religion. So the science and the religion, a clash of interest. One want to keep it as a religion. The other want to make it a complete science. If you look at some of the symbols that we have today, look closely at what they call the Star of David. Look closely what they call the Ankh or the cross, the staff, the moon, what the Muslims call. Look at these things. So it's a clash of interests. One power wanting to rule all. Though both, they're one and the same. But it's a matter of how do you control the population. You know, there's a part of America that wants to make peace with black people, integrate them. There's a part of America that see integration as a threat. And it is, because the color, one color will suppress the other. Not even through war or knowledge, or just the color itself. Just the color of the skin of one people will suppress the color of the skin of the other. Do you want your people to disappear? That's the question. Interest. We've been at war for thousands of years. Some people say we are brothers. But we have been at war for thousands of years. People don't understand the nature of interest. Maybe you will understand, before those ships set out from Holland, somebody had a map of America. Long before the people gathered in Holland to make that journey, the decision was made to build the ships. But Europe had no money. So who provided the money? Who provided the funds that brought the so-called first, well, the first people from Europe, which were not really the first, on that journey across the Atlantic to the new America? There was a map. Who was the owner of that map? These are questions that you got to ask yourself in order to find out what interest and how it's colliding here. Because that ship, those ships that sailed from Holland, they weren't British. But they say King George owned America. Then we have to look at something called the Dutch East Indian Company, the Dutch West Indian Company. The people behind that whole operation didn't just come into being. They came from Spain. They go all the way back to Rome. But then, here in America, the same interests that clashed in Spain, Portugal, that led to the Portuguese in South America, the Spanish in South America, Central and North America, and the Dutch in North America, New Amsterdam. That interest is still at work here in America today. I hope you guys read this article. Please read this article. Both of them. Because, like I said, there's a clash of interest. And if you don't know where you are, if you're standing in a riverbed when rain's falling on a mountain and you're not watching the rain, that riverbed is going to flood and you wouldn't know what washed you away or why. Read the article. Look at 1960, how Martin Luther King came to power, was chosen, and how he was destroyed. Who chose him and who destroyed him? Hope y'all enjoyed the reading of these two articles.